Hey, greetings, you guys. Michael DDA here. Sorry I missed you last week. I was dealing with some teeth problems, a tooth problem, an abscess. I'm doing much better today, though. And we're going to pick up where we left off. The last thing we saw was Genesis chapter 14. Israel had left Egypt the day after Passover, the 15th day of the first month, and within 5 days they arrived at, it says, Pi HaKerot, Migdal, and the sea opposite Ben Zaphon. This is the what's it called? A delta. It's a delta called Nueva. Here on the map, let me just show you on the map. I think it's helpful when we can look at the map and see what's going on here. I'm going to use this map first because you can kind of see where we came from. We came from Egypt, this area. And within 5 days, we had come down this route and then come down here to the Delta Nueva. 5 days. Look at the distance that we've covered. Now, this is interesting to me because, and I've never really thought about it, we went across the sea, the Red Sea right here. And right here is Mount Sinai. Why did it take us 5 days to get from here? Really, I can maybe go even a little bit smaller here. From here all the way to here. And it took us the rest of basically to Shavuot. So we're talking 7 weeks to get from here to here. I think we're going to find today that we didn't take the direct route to Mount Sinai. We wandered around in the wilderness for a while. Torah says that all the Egyptians died. When we looked at Yasher, we saw, what does it say here? Here it says, this is Torah. Not so much as one of them remained. However, in Yasher, it says this. Not one man was left excepting Pharaoh, who gave thanks to Yehovah and believed him. Believed him. What does it mean to believe him? Yehovah. We're going to see kind of the same wording about Israel after we cross the Red Sea. But let me finish reading what it says about Pharaoh here. Believed him. Therefore, Yehovah did not cause him to perish at that time with the Egyptians. And Yehovah ordered an angel to take him from amongst the Egyptians who cast him upon the land of Nineveh. And he reigned over it for a long time. It's like he got transported, kind of like what happened to Moses when he left Egypt. It was like he was transported to another location, several days away, maybe even longer than several days. I forget exactly what it was. But the last thing we read here was that, and all Israel sang in concert. All Israel, this is the Ezra men, sang in concert, saying, I will sing to Yehovah, for he greatly exalted. he is greatly exalted. The horse and rider has cast into the sea. Behold, is it not written in the law of Elohim, Yehovah's or Elohim's Torah? The last thing we read in 14 was this. Thus Israel saw the great work which Yehovah had done in Egypt, so that the people feared Yehovah and believed, there it is, and believed Yehovah and his servant Moses. What does it mean to believe Yehovah? You know, there's a lot of people out there who say, I believe in Yehovah. Well, they don't call him Yehovah. I believe in God. And his servant Moses. You know, if we believe in Yehovah and his servant Moses, we're going to do what he tells us to do. Sadly, that's not the case. Doing what Yehovah tells us to do, that's called righteousness. You're doing righteousness when you do the things that Yehovah tells us to do through Moses. If you don't, you're not righteous. Israel has learned to follow Yehovah, or they're learning anyway. They've gone through a process, haven't they? And now they're hopefully going to follow Yehovah. Let's keep this in mind. Yehovah often says, keep his statutes and his judgments and his ordinances. Remember, it's Passover where we actually have our sins forgiven us each year. Failure to keep the Passover, according to Numbers 9, if it says if a man is unclean or on a journey, if he fails to keep the Passover, he can keep it a second year. But if he doesn't do it, he's going to get kicked out of Israel and his sins will remain on him. Well, doesn't it follow then that if the man does keep the Passover, that his sins won't stay on him? See, this is what Passover is all about. But we've told ourselves that Jesus is the Passover lamb. And we have followed the doctrines and traditions of men that have led us away from the way that Yehovah, the old paths, the highways of Yehovah. We have to follow Yehovah. Well, let's pick up in chapter 15. This is the Song of Moses. Is it not written in the law of Yehovah? Here it is. Then Moses and Israel's seed sang this song to Yehovah and spoke, saying, I will sing unto Yehovah, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and its rider he has thrown into the sea. Yehovah is my strength and song. He has become my salvation. He is my Elohim. I will praise him, my father's Elohim. I will exalt him. These are men, Israel's seed, who are singing the song. We're going to see Miriam and the ladies sing an encouraging song to us in chapters 20 and 21 of this section. They're going to sing, The words that the ladies sing are y'all sing. This says I sing. This is each man singing. I sing. I will sing. Then it goes on. Yehovah is a man of war. Yehovah is his name. How many times do we hear God is love? Is God love? This is what we've been told. Here it says Elohim, Yehovah, is a man of war. Yehovah is his name. You know, most don't even know his name. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. What's his name? Nobody knows. Doctrines and traditions of men. We have learned the wrong things. Our fathers have taught us lies, worthless and unprofitable things. I think it's interesting. It says, I put Yehovah as a man. When they use the word man, this is not Adam. This is Ish. Well, let me read my notes. It says, Spirit Elohim. Remember, Yehovah is Spirit. We want to talk about Father, Son, and the Holy. Yehovah is Spirit. It was Spirit Elohim who created the earth. Oh, there's Wayne. Wayne, we just started.
Oh, really?
Yes, I'm in the midst of it right now. It was Spirit Elohim who created the earth. Read it in Genesis chapter 1. Pretty much the first verse. He's Spirit Elohim. But he's being anthropomorphized to make a point. He fights for Israel's seed. I put the word used is Ish, not Adam. When we talk about Israel's seed, we almost always talk about Ish, being men. We rarely return to, Nancy, would you please mute your microphone? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We don't talk about Israel's seed as being Adam. They're not Adam. They're Ish. Is it the second birth that makes an Adam and Ish? I think so. I put Ish is generally used for Israel's seed. Second born spiritual men. Well, we have lots of places where it talks about what his name is. One of the very first places we saw was Exodus here. This is my name forever. Moreover, Elohim said to Moses, thus you shall say to Israel's seed, Yehovah, Elohim of your fathers, Elohim of Abraham, Elohim. It's actually Abraham, Elohi, or Elohi Abraham, Elohi Isaac, Elohi Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever. That's his name, Yehovah. Now you may say Yahweh, you may say Yahuwah. I don't care. You know what? At least you know who we're talking about. Don't let that be anything that's going to divide us. And I'm going to continue. Pharaoh's chariot and his army he has cast into the sea. His chosen captains also are drowned in the Red Sea. Remember, this is still the song we're singing. This goes all the way to verse 20. The depths have covered them. They sank to the bottom like a stone. Thy right hand, Yehovah. They always say, oh, Yehovah. It doesn't have an O there. It just says, thy right hand, Yehovah, has become glorious in power. Thy right hand, Yehovah, has dashed the enemy in pieces. See, I think they're calling him a man of war because it's kind of like he's the one that's taken the initiative to finish these guys off. Think about this. Israel was decimated. They lost their crops. They lost their firstborn. They lost their cattle, their cattle and their flocks. Then they chased after Israel. We fought them off. They went back to Pharaoh. And then Pharaoh was so angry when he heard his commanders tell about us chasing them off that he took all Egypt, every man. The only people he left was boys and ladies. He took every man in Egypt and brought him to the Red Sea. And Yehovah finished him there. Is Yehovah a man of war? I would say yes. We got this God is love business in our heart. And we fail to understand that there are consequences for not living the way Yehovah created his man and his man's woman to live. We've lost our way. Again, following the doctrines and traditions of men. I've got a t-shirt that says truth over tradition. I wear it proudly because I want people to understand that truth matters. Well, let me get off my high horse and continue. Verse 7. Oh, let me make this larger too. Here we go. I can see it a little better. And in the greatness of thy excellence, thou hast overthrown those who rose against thee. Thou sent forth thy wrath. It consumed them like stubble. Look what it does. And the blast of your nostrils, the waters were gathered together. You can almost see Yehovah breathing in and sucking up the waters from the sea. The flood stood upright like a heap. The depths congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy saw it. Look what it says. The enemy said, I will pursue. I will overtake. I will divide the spoil. My desire shall be satisfied on them. I will draw my sword. My hand shall destroy them. It sounds like Isaiah 10. Almost Satan saying, I will, I will, I will. Then it says, thou blew with your, it says wind. Thou blew with your spirit. This is Ruach. Wind, it can be wind, but I think it's spirit. Thou blew with thy spirit. The sea covered them. They sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who is like thee? Yehovah. Look what it says. It says, among the gods, who is like thee? Glorious in holiness, fearful in praises, doing wonders. Glorious in holiness. What does that mean? Fearful in praises. What does that mean? Among the gods? We're talking about Egypt. Here, I found this translation. Who is like thee among their God? Yehovah. This is their God, their El, among their El. Their lawmakers and judges. Who is like thee, holy in glory, glorious in holiness, holy in glory. to be praised with fear, fearful in praises. I think praised with fear, doing wonders. Makes a lot more sense to me. Thou stretched out thy right hand. The earth swallowed them. Thou and thy mercy have led forth the people whom thou hast redeemed. You have guided them in your strength to your holy habitation. Where is Yehovah's holy habitation? Many will say the Elohim's mountain. And in a sense, they're correct. But I think we're talking about a bigger picture than this. I put to your holy habitation, to thy holy habitation. The habitation is not so much a place that we go to, but more a condition of who we serve and how we are to dwell on the earth. This is the holy habitation that we're to adopt into our lives. We serve. How did it go in Hebrews 11? Abraham dwelt. I want to look it up real quick. I used to have it memorized. There's a lot of things that I've had memorized in the past, but it's hard to always hang on to all the things that you memorize. I'm going to go to Hebrews. Here it is, Hebrews 11. We'll come back here in just a second. By faith, talking about Abraham, by faith he dwelt in the land of promise as in a foreign country. For he waited for a city which has foundations, whose builder and maker is Elohim. We dwell on earth as if in a foreign country. What's the country? It's heaven. We're dwelling in heaven by following Yehovah's statutes and judgments and ordinances. Now, it's been very, very, very hard for many years, hundreds of years, the oppression that we have had in dealing with the they. We always call them the they. They won't let you do that. Who are the they? It's the deep state. They're not our friends. They are being taken down right now, and we are going to see a new world begin to open up before us, and it's going to be a lot easier to dwell in heaven or dwell on earth as if in a strange country, as in a foreign country. Dwelling in tents with Isaac and Jacob. Tents. That's so cool. Tents. They're not talking about canvas. They're talking about the big top. Tents. It's the plural tents. The Ohalim. The big top. That's what we dwell in. We don't even know about the big top right now. Oh gosh, we have so much stuff to learn. Doctrines and traditions of men that have led us astray. Oh my. Well, let's go back. Here we are. Holy habitation. Let me read it again. The habitation is not so much a place that we go to, but more a condition of who we serve and how we are to dwell on the earth, just as he promised. Look what it says in 3:12. And he said, I will certainly be with you, and this shall be a sign to you that I have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall serve the Elohim on the mountain. Is the mountain the important part? Or is it the Elohim that is the important part? Do you see the difference? We always say the mountain of the Elohim, or really we say the mountain of God. In fact, it probably, there, I can demonstrate it here. Watch what they say here. They call it, I will certainly be with you, and you shall, and this shall be a sign of you. You shall serve God on this mountain. It doesn't say God on this mountain. It's you shall serve the Elohim on this mountain. There's a big difference. We're not serving God on the mountain. We're serving the Elohim on the mountain. All right. I'm still in my spot. Yes. All right. Let's go to 14. Oh, no, I still have a little bit more of my note here. It's not so much about the mountain. It's about the Elohim. Wayne, you were going to say something?
I can't see anything on the share screen.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah.
All right. I guess no, Wayne, it's on.
Maybe it's my end.
Nancy, can you see the screen? She's got it
before when no one's getting off, so just carry on.
Yes, I can hear. I can see the screen.
You can. Okay. Yeah, the screen is on, Wayne. You might want to go out and come back. But thank you for saying something.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, let's continue. Talking about the holy habitation. Now look what it says. The people will hear and be afraid. Sorrow will take hold of the inhabitants of Philistia. The people that he's talking about are the men people, not the women people. See, again, we've got to go deeper in our understandings of what Torah is actually saying. Now, I'll make my point very easily here, because look at the next couple verses. Let me first say what my note says. Yeah, men, people of the earth. This is what we're talking about, the men, people of the earth. Look what it says. The people will hear and be afraid. Sorrow will take hold of the inhabitants of Philistia. Then the chiefs of Edom will be dismayed. The chiefs, not the chiefesses. The chiefs of Edom will be dismayed. The mighty men of Moab. Trembling will take hold of them. All the inhabitants of Canaan will melt away. Yes, when Yehovah does mighty things on the earth, shows his strong hand, his mighty arm, people take note. You know, all the Egyptians died in the sea. Who was left to go back to Egypt and tell the ladies and the boys what happened to everybody? They never saw them again. But do you think they sent some people out after them to find out where they were? And there was nothing there. Word's gonna get around. Anybody who's traveling to Egypt to do trade, they might not know what's been happening in Egypt. But when they get here, they're going to hear some pretty amazing stories. Remember, those 10 plagues fell on Egypt in probably less than 2 weeks. It wasn't long. Oh, so much has happened, and they're going to see the devastation of what's gone on in Egypt. It says, talking about these Philistia, the Edomites, the Moabites, the Canaanites, it says fear and dread will fall on them. by the greatness of your arm. Remember, Yehovah's arm. They will be still as stone till thy people pass over. Yehovah, till the people pass over whom you have purchased. Remember, it's all about the land and the seed. Yehovah raised up seed at Passover. Doesn't do any good to keep Shavuot, Yom Kippur, Yom Teruah, Yom Kippurim, Sukkot. Doesn't do any good to keep those if you're not going to become Israel by keeping the Passover. And you can't become Israel and still keep the Elohim that you were born into. You have to leave those Elohim behind. What's the first commandment? I am Yehovah who brought thee out of the land of Egypt. Thou shalt have no other Elohim, lawmakers or judges before my face. That's the first commandment. Until you leave those Elohim behind, you're going to remain a Toshav. It's when you leave those Elohim and join Israel and Israel's Elohim that you become a Ger. And it's at Passover that the Ger can be circumcised with all the men of his household and become the Ezra men, Israel. It's a journey. Whom thou hast purchased. 15 or 17. You will bring them in and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance. In the mountain of your inheritance. In the place, Yehovah, which thou hast made for your own dwelling. The sanctuary. Oh, yeah, here, look at this. They have the Lord, capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D. And here they have capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D. But in this particular one, I checked these out. One says Yehovah, the other one says Adonai. Thou shalt bring them in and plant them in the mountain of thy inheritance. In the place, Yehovah, which thou hast made for thy own dwelling. The set apart place, my master, which thy hands have prepared. Why do we translate Adonai as Yehovah? Or this case, it should be small l, small o, small r, small d. Or maybe even a capital L, small o-r-d would be acceptable. But it says my master. First his mountain, then his tabernacle, and finally his temple. This is the place where he's going to do this. He's going to dwell amongst us. That's why we're called Israel. We're those who dwell peacefully. 18. Yehovah shall reign forever and ever. I put only Yehovah reigns in his kingdom, no one else. All the kings and kingdoms of the earth will eventually go down. Oh my, a lot of them are going down even as we speak. For the horses of Pharaoh went with his chariots and his horsemen into the sea, and Yehovah brought back the waters of the sea upon them. But Israel's seed went on dry land in the midst of the sea. Well, that is the end of the song that Israel's seed sang. Now look what it says, 2 verses. Then Miriam, the prophetess, the sister of Aaron. Isn't she the sister of Moses too? Took the timbrel in her hand, and all the women went out after her with timbrels and with dance. And Miriam answered them. Who's them? Them is the men who sang in the first 19 verses of this chapter. Sing. Y'all sing, is what it says. Y'all sing. They're not saying, this is not Yehovah. It doesn't say, how can I say it? Sing to Yehovah. No, we're talking about the men. This is y'all sing. Y'all sing to Yehovah, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and rider has thrown into the sea. That's all it says. Now think about this. Miriam. Do you know this is the first time in Torah that Miriam has even been given a name? She's never been Miriam before. And they call her a prophetess. Why do they call her a prophetess? See, these are all things that we have to ask ourselves. I put it in green because it's the first time that Miriam's name is mentioned. Kind of my code. I put this is the first time Miriam's name is used in Torah. Why is she called a prophetess? Yasher has the answer. Yes, I love having Yasher available to us. Look what it says. And it was at that time the spirit of Elohim was upon Miriam, the daughter of Amram, the sister of Aaron. Like they still say sister of Aaron. Oh, because Moses wasn't born yet. That's why. The sister of Aaron. And she went forth and prophesied about the house, saying, behold, a son will be born unto us from my father and mother this time, and he will save Israel from the hands of Egypt. She's prophesying that Moses is going to be born and that he's going to save Israel. But isn't it interesting? You know, how many times when we're talking about our mom and dad, do we say mom and dad and not dad and mom? Why does mom always get priority? Here, it says, a son will be born unto us from my father and mother this time, and he will save Israel from the hands of Egypt. Have we been programmed to make the father almost secondary to the mother in our families? Just a question. Just an observation. Here's what it talked about her, Miriam, in Torah. It says, and his sister stood to Pharaoh. Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter. It says, and the maid went out. Never uses her name. Timbrels and dance lead the celebration. They led the people away from the victory. Timbrel. I think a timbrel is a tambourine. Here, I've got this picture here. Let me see if I can pull it up. This is how I can kind of picture maybe Miriam might look like. Timbrel. Talk about timbrels and dancing seem to go together. It's always the ladies that are doing it. Yehovah came to Mizpah unto his house, and behold, his daughter came out to meet him with timbrels and with dance. She was the only child. Besides her, he had no son or daughter. Well, that's a sad story. And it came to pass, as they came when David was returning from the slaughter of the Philistines, that the women came out of the city, out of all the cities of Israel, singing and dancing to meet King Saul, singing and dancing to meet King Saul, and the timbrets with joy and with instruments of music. And the women answered one another as they played and said, Saul has slain his thousands and David his 10,000s. again, celebration. The ladies are involved in that. Also, he's encouraging the men of Israel. The women are encouraging the men of Israel in the song that I just sang. That's how I kind of see it. So Moses brought Israel from the Red Sea. Then they went into the wilderness of Shur. You know what? Remember I was just talking about it took 5 days to get from Egypt all the way to Nueva. Yet, from Nueva, here, did I even show you? I'm going to pull up that map again. Here. Yet, from here to here, it took us 5 days. Probably less than 5. But yet, it takes another more than 6 weeks to get to Mount Sinai. They're talking about going to the wilderness of Shur right now. Where is the wilderness of Shur? Here it is. The way to Shur, the Shur desert. This is the wilderness of Shur. Is it possible that Yehovah has brought us? Remember, we're following the pillar of fire and smoke. Is it possible that Yehovah has now brought us all the way back to here? The next place we're going to go is the wilderness of Zin, which they tend to call Sin, which is here. Before we head back to Sinai. It's going to be here that we're going to have no water. It's called Marah. And then here where we're going to get the manna in the wilderness. I think that Yehovah brought us this way, dare I say, to test us. We have used up all our supplies that we brought with us out of Egypt. And now we're going to be complaining to Yehovah, really complaining to Israel's going to complain to the elders. The elders are going to complain to Moses, and Moses is going to complain to Yehovah. Let me show you. So here's Shur. And I thought, when I read this, I thought, it went the wrong way. But then I thought, no, there is something going on here because we go from Shur to the wilderness of Zin. Sin. Let me continue. In fact, I think I even put on here, wilderness of Shur. Wrong direction. We're headed towards Sinai. No, I don't think we are. We're going to get to Sinai. We're eventually going to get there. But I think there's some testing that needs to go on. It wouldn't take us 7 weeks to go that little bit, or 7 weeks, 6.5 weeks, 6 weeks and several days, 43 days to get to Sinai from the crossing. No, that doesn't make any sense at all. Where are we going? We went to Shur, and then we went to, in fact, I'm going to just this. I don't even have a note on it. Yeah, interesting. So as it says now, when they came to Marah, they could not drink the waters of Marah, for they were bitter. Therefore the name was called Marah. And that's what Marah means. It means, I thought I had it on there. Oh, here it is. There it goes. Marah, bitterness. All right. And the people complained against Moses, saying, what shall we drink? Here, this is what I was talking about. Complaints go up the chain of command. Their families and their ger complain to the Israel seed, the Ezrach men. The Ezra men, really, I could put the elders of Israel, Israel's elders. Let's do that, because that's exactly what's going on. Israel, Israel's elders. Oops, EL, elders. And elders complained to Moses and Aaron, and Moses talks to Yehovah about it. And it goes back down the same channels. So, the people complained against Moses, saying, what shall we eat? What shall we drink? Or what shall we drink? Remember, they're without water. They still apparently have some food left. They're not concerned about the food yet, but they will be. So he cried out to Yehovah. Moses cried out to Yehovah. And Yehovah showed him a tree, and that's when he cast it into the waters were made sweet. There he made a statute, and an ordinance for them, and he tested them. You know, what statute and what ordinance did he give them? I don't know. I'd like to know. Yasher doesn't tell us either. But maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. In fact, this probably is it. Look what the next verse says. And God tested them and said, if you will diligently heed the voice of Yehovah, your Elohim, to do what is right in his sight. What did I say about believing Yehovah and Moses? This is what it's all about. If you will heed the voice of Yehovah, your Elohim, and will do what is right in his sight, give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes. You know, we don't even fully know what they are yet. There's Levites. They know a bunch of them. Keep in mind, we saw even Jacob knew when they took his sister, this is not right. They knew the statutes and ordinances of Yehovah. They've been enduring for a long time. They're going to be codified, written down at the mountain. But they've been there for a long time. So he says, give ear to my commandments. Keep his statutes. I will put none of the diseases on you, which I have brought on the Egyptians. For I am Yehovah who heals you. God is love. Get that out of your mind. We fear Yehovah and obey him. Let me read it again. If you will diligently heed to the voice of Yehovah, your Elohim, to do what is right in his sight, first you got to make Yehovah your Elohim. Give ear to his commandments. Keep his statutes. I will put none of the diseases on you which I brought on the Egyptians. For I am Yehovah who heals you. Does Yehovah put sickness on people because they have disobeyed him? I wonder. I think he does. Here's some other things that talk about health. I'm reading from the top. Do not let them depart from your eyes. Keep talking about his commandments. Keep them in the midst. Oh, here, I think I even, my son, give attention to my words. Incline your ear to my sayings. Do not let them depart from your eyes. Keep them in the midst of your heart. For they are life to those who find them and health to all their flesh. Do you want to stay well? Do you want to stay healthy? Do you want to have children that make it to childbirth? Learn to follow Yehovah. Deuteronomy says the same thing. Then it shall come to pass, because you listen to these judgments and keep and do them, that Yehovah, your Elohim, will keep with you the covenants and the mercy which he swore to your fathers. And he will love you and bless you and multiply you. He will also bless the fruit of your womb. Remember, he's talking to men. But our womb is our woman. Bone of our bone, flesh of our flesh. It's our womb. Your womb. The fruit of your land. It's our land. Your grain, your new wine, your oil, the increase of your cattle, the offspring of your flocks, the land in which he swore to your fathers to give you, you shall be blessed above all peoples. There shall not be a male or female barren among you or among your livestock. And Yehovah will take away from you all sickness and will afflict you with none of the terrible diseases of Egypt, which you have known, but will lay them on those who hate you. How do you do this? Look what it says. Then you shall come to pass because you listen to these judgments and keep and do them. That's the promise. Two more. This is Exodus 23. So you shall serve Yehovah your Elohim, and he will bless your bread and your water. I will take the sickness away from the midst of you. No one shall suffer miscarriage or be barren in your land. I will fulfill the number of your days. We're going to live a long life also. And said, if you diligently heed the voice of Yehovah, this says Exodus 15. Oh, this is the one we're on right now. I don't need to read this right now. We already read it. All right. 27. Last verse. Then they came to Elim, where there were 12 wells, 12 springs is what we're talking about, and springing up from the earth. 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees. So they camped there by the waters. Elim is, we're going to go from Elim to the wilderness of sin. And it's a wilderness of sin in the 15th day of the second month, 30 days after we left Egypt, that we're going to start complaining about food. I think our supplies are running low. We have water. Yehovah has provided us water. But soon we're going to be without food. And next week is where we're going to pick up that same thought with the manna in the wilderness. You guys, thank you for joining me. We'll catch you next time. Yehovah bless you real good. Bye now.